The base was alive with the hum of activity. Soldiers hurried past in crisp uniforms, boots clicking sharply against the metal floor, radios crackling with updates. Among them walked Lieutenant Maya Hart, her small frame almost swallowed by the towering walls of the military base. She clutched her bag tightly to her chest, sensing the curious stares that followed her everywhere. Rumors swirled about her, who she really was, why she had been assigned to this remote station. What city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. Today, however, the whispers had taken a dangerous turn. A few skeptical soldiers, itching to prove she didn't belong, had decided to search her bag. The word spread quickly, like wildfire. Maya's heart pounded as she approached the checkpoint. She tried to remain calm, but her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag, the weight of her secret threatening to crush her. "Step aside." "Lieutenant Hart," one soldier barked, his eyes scanning the bag like a hawk. "We have orders to make sure everyone is cleared." Maya swallowed, a cold sweat running down her spine. She knew what they wanted: a scandal, a reason to humiliate her, a way to strip her authority away before anyone could see her true rank. She watched silently as the soldier unzipped the bag, fingers rifling through her neatly packed belongings. Every second stretched into an eternity. And then he froze. He froze because what he saw was not what he expected. There were no secret files, no forbidden items, nothing that could tarnish her reputation. Instead, a crisp, gold-embossed officer's badge glinted at the top of the stack. Shining under the harsh fluorescent lights, Maya's secret was out, but not the way anyone thought. Before the soldier could speak, a voice cut through the tension, calm but commanding. "Lieutenant Hart." All heads turned. Maya's heart skipped. There he was, Captain Jonathan Royce, tall, composed, with eyes sharp enough to pierce through layers of doubt and suspicion. He walked toward her with measured steps, the respect in his posture unmistakable. He stopped in front of Maya, raised his hand, and gave her a crisp military salute. The room went silent. Every soldier, every pair of eyes, was locked on the moment that followed. They had expected embarrassment, humiliation, maybe even a reprimand, but instead, the captain saluted her. Maya felt her breath catch. The whispers died in an instant, replaced by stunned silence. The soldiers who had doubted her, who had tried to expose her, suddenly felt the weight of their mistake. "Lieutenant Hart, you've earned this," Captain Royce said, his voice steady. "Welcome back, Admiral." Shock and awe rippled across the room. Admiral. The word hung in the air, heavy with truth and authority. Maya's bag, the one meant to expose her, now symbolized her hidden power, her journey, and the respect she had earned in silence. For the first time in weeks, Maya allowed herself a small, victorious smile. She had survived the test, and now the base knew she was not just a soldier, but their commanding admiral. The stunned silence in the base hall lingered longer than any soldier expected. Slowly, whispers began, low at first, then louder as disbelief turned to murmurs of awe. She's the admiral?" One young recruit muttered under his breath. Another shook his head, unable to comprehend what had just unfolded. Maya stood perfectly still, her bag now resting at her side, her posture straight, unwavering. The adrenaline from fear had transformed into a steady flame of authority. She could feel every gaze upon her, every judgment, every doubt, all of it dissolving with each heartbeat. Captain Royce stepped closer, his presence commanding without demanding. "Admiral Hart," he said, his voice carrying the weight of respect that silenced even the most skeptical soldiers. "I trust you understand the responsibilities that come with this rank. The base is yours now." Maya's lips pressed into a firm line. The weight of the moment was immense. She remembered the countless nights of studying, the sacrifices, the whispered doubts from peers, the feeling of being underestimated everywhere she went. And now, here it was proof that she belonged, proof that she had earned every bit of authority. She now commanded. The soldiers who had tried to expose her lowered their eyes, their hands awkwardly fidgeting. Pride and fear collided in their expressions. One of them, a burly sergeant who had been the loudest critic, finally spoke. "Admiral, we misjudged you." Maya's eyes softened slightly, but her voice remained firm, commanding respect. "This base runs on discipline and teamwork. Misjudgments happen, but they must not undermine trust. We have work to do." A subtle murmur of acknowledgement swept through the room. The young recruits straightened, trying to absorb the lesson that had just unfolded in front of them. Authority is earned, not assumed. Captain Royce gave a slight nod, a silent signal of solidarity and support. He turned, gesturing toward the command center. "Shall we begin, Admiral?" Maya followed him, feeling a surge of determination. Every step she took echoed through the base, a reminder that she was no longer just a soldier trying to prove herself. She was the Admiral now, but behind the calm exterior, Maya's mind raced. There were plans to implement, teams to organize, and tensions to manage. And she knew that while this moment of recognition was powerful, the real test of leadership was just beginning. As she entered the command center, soldiers glanced at each other, their earlier doubts replaced with a mix of respect and curiosity. Some whispered about how she had carried herself, others about the sheer audacity of her rise. Maya placed her bag on the table, opened it, and removed a small folder containing base strategies. The soldiers watched as she methodically laid out plans, assigning responsibilities, delegating tasks with precision. Every command she gave carried weight. Every decision reflected her years of experience hidden beneath the facade of a simple lieutenant. For the first time, the base truly saw Admiral Maya Hart not just a rank on a badge, but a leader who commanded respect, skill, and unwavering authority. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Maya's sudden revelation as Admiral sent ripples through the base. Soldiers who had once questioned her authority now found themselves following her orders with a mix of awe and cautious respect. But not everyone adapted easily. A small faction of officers still clung to doubt. They whispered in corners, exchanged sidelong glances, and subtly tested her decisions. Maya noticed that all her sharp instincts had never failed her, and she knew that true leadership meant winning both trust and obedience. One morning, an urgent alert sounded across the base. A reconnaissance drone had spotted suspicious activity near the perimeter. Unknown vehicles approaching from the northern ridge. The tension in the command center was palpable. Soldiers glanced nervously at each other, but all eyes ultimately fell on Maya. She straightened, scanning the data on the monitors. "Prepare the perimeter defenses," she commanded. "Deploy reconnaissance teams and ready the patrol units. I want every entry point secured and every soldier briefed." Her voice was calm but firm, cutting through the chaos like a blade. Captain Royce, standing at her side, offered a nod of approval. "Admiral, I'll lead the patrols with you," he said. Maya shook her head slightly. "I need eyes on the base, Captain. You know your team, and you'll ensure the northern ridge is monitored. I will coordinate here and oversee communication." Even the skeptics could see her logic. Her decisions were precise, well thought out, and devoid of hesitation. Orders were executed swiftly, soldiers moved with purpose, and the once tense base now hummed with efficient activity. As reports poured in, the soldiers began to realize something profound. Maya wasn't just a figurehead. She anticipated moves, calculated risks, and commanded loyalty without needing to assert dominance. Every action she took instilled confidence, and slowly, the murmurs of dissent began to fade. Hours later, the northern ridge confirmed the source of the approaching vehicles, a convoy of Allied units misrouted due to navigation errors. Relief swept through the base, but the lesson lingered. Maya's leadership had prevented potential chaos before it even had a chance to form. After the incident, the soldiers gathered near the command center. Captain Royce approached Maya, saluting with a respectful tilt of his head. "Your handling of the situation was exemplary, Admiral. The base is stronger under your command." Maya felt a surge of quiet satisfaction. Her journey, once marred by doubt and hidden behind a simple bag, had finally come full circle. She had faced scrutiny, confrontation, and suspicion, and she had emerged not just unscathed, but respected and trusted. The soldiers who had once tried to expose her now stood a little straighter, their eyes reflecting admiration. Some even approached her personally, offering apologies or simply acknowledging her authority. Maya accepted their gestures with grace, her calm demeanor reinforcing the fact that true power lay not in retaliation, but in commanding with integrity. As the sun set over the base, Maya stood by the main observation deck, gazing at the horizon. The wind tugged at her uniform, carrying with it the promise of new challenges, new missions, and new victories. The bag she once clutched nervously now sat in her office, a silent reminder of how far she had come from a questioned lieutenant to the admiral of the base. In that moment, Maya Hart didn't just feel like a leader. She was a leader, and everyone around her finally saw it. The following days brought a calm that felt almost surreal to the soldiers. The base had shifted. What was once a place of whispers, doubts, and silent judgments had become a hub of respect and discipline under Maya's command. And yet, for Maya, the real test was internal. Late one evening, when the lights dimmed and most of the base had retired to their quarters, Maya stayed behind in the command center. She stared at her reflection in the glass window, the faint glow of monitors illuminating her face. Memories of that fateful day, the bag search, the soldiers' doubts, the captain's salute flashed through her mind. Her hands rested on the desk, her fingers brushing over the badge she now wore openly. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders. Being admiral wasn't about titles or recognition. It was about the lives entrusted to her, the decisions she had to make, and the trust she needed to earn every single day. Captain Royce quietly entered, his presence steady as ever. He didn't need to speak immediately. His understanding was unspoken. Finally, he said, "You did well today. The base needed clarity, and you gave it. But remember, Admiral, leadership isn't just about being respected. It's about inspiring those around you." Maya nodded, a faint smile touching her lips. "I've learned that the hard way," she replied softly. "I thought hiding behind my rank would keep me safe. I thought I had to prove myself to everyone. But I realize the real strength isn't in hiding. It's in standing firm, even when everyone doubts you." Captain Royce gave a small, approving nod. "And you've done exactly that. Not just for yourself, but for everyone here." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the hum of the command center the only sound. Outside, the base lights flickered against the dark horizon, signaling the end of another day. But for Maya, it was the beginning of something greater. She finally turned away from the window and glanced at her soldiers' schedules on the monitors. Tomorrow, she would walk through the halls again, issuing orders, checking in on teams, guiding new recruits. But now there was no fear, no doubt. She was not only their leader by rank, but by example, courage, and integrity. Maya picked up her bag from the corner of the office, now a symbol of her journey rather than a burden. She smiled, recalling how that simple object once held the potential to expose her, but now it represented her triumph over doubt, suspicion, and fear. As she left the command center, she passed a group of young soldiers, who straightened instinctively as she walked by. One of them whispered, almost reverently, "That's our Admiral." And in that moment, Maya Hart knew she had arrived not just in rank, but in the hearts and minds of everyone she led. She had turned scrutiny into respect, doubt into trust, and a simple salute into a declaration of her rightful place. The base was no longer just a station. It was a testament to her resilience. And Maya, she was ready for whatever came next. Hey, thanks for staying till the end. If this one touched your heart, give it a like and tell me how it made you feel. I'd love to hear.